Hello, Pastor Will here for the Monday in Holy Week 2021. Today's text comes out of John 12, where Mary anoints Jesus' feet with costly perfume, and it upsets Judas, who says the money could be used better to serve the needs of the poor. But to understand chapter 12, we're going to have to look at chapter 11 and what happened in chapter 11. And in chapter 11 is when Mary and Martha's dear beloved brother Lazarus falls ill, and they send word to Jesus, who's off somewhere. Lazarus needs your help. He's going to die. He's dying. Will you please come and help him? And Jesus gets the message, and Jesus is delayed in getting to their house. And so by the time he gets to the house, Lazarus is dead and has been dead for 4 days. He's in the tomb, sinking up the place, and he's good and dead. There's no question as to whether he's dead or unconscious. He is dead. And so when he gets there, Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, are kind of accusatory to Jesus and say, Jesus, if you had gotten here sooner, this wouldn't have happened. Lazarus would still be alive and we wouldn't be grieving so. And Jesus says, well, I had some things I had to do. But this is not yet the end. Don't give up hope. And Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And it's a great miracle. And it gives us another miracle, number 27 in our 168-part series, Better Know a Miracle. So we can cross that one off. But the whole point of the Better Know a Miracle series is not just to describe the miracle, but to answer the question, why did the miracle be performed? Why was the miracle performed? And the text tells us clearly in John 11, Jesus raised his friend Lazarus from the dead because he loved him. He loved him. That's it. Simple as that. People often would say to me as a pastor, they would say to me, I went through some calamity in my life, but somehow I made it through and I'm still here, and I know God has a purpose for me, but I don't know what it is. And this always just saddens me to hear this, because I'm like, you're a Christian, you call yourself a Christian, and yet you don't know what your purpose is? Your purpose is the same as every other Christian. It's the same as mine. It's the same as Jesus. To love other people, to love creation. But not just to love them, not just to love them when it's convenient, but to love them to the point of self-sacrifice or death. Because when Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, he sets in motion a series of events that leads to his taking up that cross and going to Golgotha and being put to death unjustly. Because the chief priests get word of what Jesus has done in raising this Lazarus from the dead, and they become very concerned because more and more people are attracted to Jesus now and what he can do and what he has done. And they're basically moving over from the teachings of the priests and giving money to the treasury to keep that religious organization going, and they're moving over to the teachings of Jesus, who doesn't charge anything for God to love them. And so the chief priests at that point decide this Jesus must die. And so they decide to put him to death. So then we get to chapter 12, and Jesus is again at his friend's house for dinner, and Mary comes over and she's bought some expensive perfume, which she uses to anoint Jesus with. And this upsets Judas, Jesus' friend Judas. And Judas says, Jesus, the money that she wasted on that perfume on you could have been much better used to take care of the needs of the poor. And he's just grumbling, complaining. But really it sounds like a good complaint. I could see myself thinking the same thing. Why waste money on perfume, when you could be going and helping people who are hungry? And then Jesus responds, you will always have the poor with you, but you won't always have me with you. A lot of people, for some crazy reason, use Jesus' statement, you will always have the poor with you, as an excuse to do nothing for the poor, which is not what Jesus means. Jesus means you will always have opportunity to take care of the poor, so do it. Take care of them. But you won't always have opportunity to take care of me, because I'm not going to be here much longer. That's his point. And so more people are showing up. at Mary and Martha and Lazarus' house to see this Jesus who performed this great miracle earlier. And they're really curious about him. And more people are coming over to Jesus' way of perceiving life and perceiving God and relating to God. And this really upsets the chief priests. And they become further resolved that Jesus must die. They must kill him. And they also include in this chapter 12, if you read the verses, they also include Lazarus. You know, this Jesus must die, but so we need to get rid of Lazarus too. If Jesus is gone, Lazarus will still be here. People will still be curious and want to come talk to him and see, you know, what happened and what it was like to be dead and what it was like to be raised from the dead. So, yeah, we need to get rid of Lazarus too. So Lazarus is guilty by association with Jesus, according to the priest. Now, when I was a teenager, my dad would often ask me who I was hanging out with. And he knew all of my friends, most of my friends. And my friends, most of my friends were pretty good fellows, I thought. We didn't get into a lot of trouble. But there were some friends I had who were known in the community for getting into trouble, getting into mischief, and doing things that really weren't very safe or very good. And my dad would want to know, well, I heard you're hanging out with this person, and you know, I've heard things about them that aren't that good. I hope you're being careful, son. And I go, Dad, I'm not like them. I'm not going to be going out and doing that. I'm not going to be going out drinking and driving and this and that. Or I'm not going to hurt anybody. And he goes, well, son, you know, I like to believe that about you, and I think you mean well, but other people in the community aren't me. And so if something goes wrong, if something bad happens, and people know you're their friends, you're going to be guilty by association with them. And I didn't really understand that then, but I do now that I'm older. Guilty by association. And so as we're in on Monday of Holy Week, and we're headed toward the cross with Jesus, the question that arises is, if you went to court to be tried for being associated with Jesus, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Is your association with Jesus, is your relationship with Jesus such that people could say, oh my, you're just like him? Or is he just an acquaintance? Just an acquaintance that you talk to every once in a while, maybe at Easter and Christmas. Just an acquaintance that you give a call when you need a good job reference or something, or need some help with something. Is he just an acquaintance, or are you guilty by association? So think about that this week, during Holy Week, as we take our first steps toward the cross, toward taking up that cross and sacrificing our lives, because we're so intent, like Jesus, to love other people. God bless you. Amen.